let's take a look at this golfer setup. We can see a lot of the end of the grip sticking out past the hands. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's go ahead and draw in the club line here. And let's try that again. That wasn't very good. Now let's draw in the spine line. Now let's watch what happens as she's getting ready to swing. Goes down a little bit, then lifts up a little bit. Lifts up a lot. Okay, let's watch the club go back. Now some of this is me moving. I don't make a very good tripod. Club's going back in a nice line right there. Notice right here the club is shut. At this point right now the club should be toe up, not down. So we're going to continue on back on the takeaway. She's raising straight up. Look at the cupping in that wrist right there. It's rolled over completely backwards. Hands are pulled real close into her. So she stood straight up, and she's going to pop up completely out of the shot eventually. So she pops up and then collapses down, swings across the ball. Again, the left hand well above the right hand instead of under the right hand. The right hand needs to be on top, folks. That's not a suggestion. That's really kind of mandatory through to the finish. Okay, let's put the shaft line in here, right up through the middle of the back. Let's put a little circle where the hands are. That's set up. And let's also draw a second line in where the spine angle is, right up through the ear there. Now let's see what happens when we go back on the takeaway. That, by the way, is a very good setup. I'd like to see the right toe turn in a little bit, but not bad. Now he's taking the club back under the red line, and again, shut. You see how the club is really shut at that point there? As we turn back, the toe should stay up. It's up, it's set up, it should be up at the backswing. Okay, so we're going to come up. Now he's going to go up above the line and then right back down to the line. But look what happens to the head. He says he lifts his head. But if you look closely, what he's doing is he's pulling his spine away. If we go back to the setup position, you'll notice right through his ear and then pulls away. The feeling is lifting, but it's really a pulling away because we don't turn into the shot. So we're going to work on turning into the shot. We're going to see a pretty good setup here. Let's wind this back here. See a pretty good setup. I'd like to see the hands a little lower. We want the hands to be kind of under the chin. Those are a little far out. We want to create about a 144 degree angle here to here. And that's a little steeper than that. So we want to get the hands a little down. Okay. Now let's watch the takeaway. Pretty nice takeaway, sweeping the club back low and slow. A little bit too far behind. The club really should never get behind your butt. If it is, then the club is not out in front of you, obviously. If you look where her shoulders are, if we were to take and draw the shoulder line in, there's the shoulders. The triangle should be here and here. That means the club should be here. Okay? So that's what we want to do, is we're going to try to keep the club in alignment with that triangle. Okay, we'll continue on to the back of the backswing. Pretty good position there, but watch her lift up a little bit. We'll play that back. Watch the little lift right about there. See the little lift. Now she's coming down to the golf swing. Not bad. Club's dropping from the inside. That's a really good move. Turning into it. Not bad. Coming from the inside. Turning into it. Just barely caught it off the toe. Just a tiny miss. And that goes to show you that what could be a pretty good swing can still generate a little bit of a miss. Even Mickey Mantle didn't hit them all. Skill level number 1 is connection. Connect to the club, connect to the target, connect to the ground, having good posture. We see here a great job of posture, good setup, very relaxed looking, very athletic. Let's go ahead and draw in our lines here. Got a line here. We'll draw a second one in for the butt. See if the butt stays on plane. We'll draw a third line in for the spine angle. See how things stay put right up there through the ear from the hip. We see some good angles here. Now let's watch this takeaway. Because of a good athletic setup, she's staying pretty close. Notice when she gets back to about here, the club does in fact block our view of the hands. Unfortunately, the toe's a little shut. I'd like to see it rotated a little more upright. You're going to do that by straightening the left arm. If we look closely here, the lead arm has kind of got a bend in it. Let's get rid of that bend. Okay? Let's go back. Continue on back. Now here's what she's doing. She's lifted way up and out of the swing. Fundamental number 1 is our posture. Fundamental number 2 is our takeaway, our swing, our rotation, which means we rotate around a fixed axis, which is our spine. The spine here is straightened right up. So we need to get that to be a little bit more stationary. That's the flaw. Back down. Now she's back into the position. Makes a pretty decent impact. Hits the ground a little first. Probably because it's so hard to move our axis and still hit the spot we want to hit. We're going to work on that. Okay, we have a golfer here in a pretty good setup. Knees are flexed, butt is out and up, back is pretty straight, spine angles at 1 o'clock. Hand plane is looking good. Let's go ahead and draw a shaft plane here. What we're going to see is that about 3/4 of the way during the backswing, she's going to almost stand straight up. Taking the club back to the inside too far, which is going to force her to stand up a little bit. But now watch this. Right there, she's going to start standing up, standing up, standing up. Collapsing both elbows. Both elbows are bent to 90 degrees. The club is pointing well off in that direction, almost behind her a little bit. There it is. See how far behind her the club got. She has completely lost her spine angle. Remember, she was at 1 o'clock. Now her spine angle is straight up. We need to keep our spine angle intact throughout the entire swing. So let's see what happens as she starts back down to the golf ball. Whoa, look how far she turned. You know, that's a false turn too, because those are all elbows. This elbow here is bent so far that it's not even 90 degrees anymore. Back down to it, dropping the head, diving into the shot. What we're going to see is the result of great hand-eye coordination. What a good athlete, huh? And then she stops right there. Doesn't finish. That is where she finished, actually, right there. Never got through the shot. Tremendous athletic ability, tremendous hand-eye coordination. So we can fix some of those technical problems. It's going to be a great golfer here. Excuse me. We see some really good things in this setup. The left foot is flared out a little bit. The right foot's pretty square. The right shoulder is considerably below the left shoulder. Would like to see the left arm a little longer and straighter. And perhaps the right hand a little more on top of the club. I'd like to see the club more out in the fingers of that hand. Let's go ahead and see if he moves into the power side. Got a great angle there. That looks really good. Let's watch the takeaway. Pretty good takeaway. Look at this. Nice and smooth. Balance. Turning away. Great extension. Look at the width there he's got on the swing. This is pretty good. I mean, this is not a young kid here. Making a great swing. Look at the move into the ball here. Look at that. Awesome. The problem is he quits moving into the ball. Part of that's because he's not getting the right hip through. Look at the shaft flex here because the head is trying to pass early. If he'd have turned the right hip through here, this would have been an awesome shot. He would have been able to get full extension of the arms down the target line. What we talk about is squashing the bug, having a purposeful rotation of the right foot. So we end up on the toe instead of after. This was a delayed reaction of the right foot. All in all, a good swing. A lot of improvement here. Good job, Ann. We're going to watch this golfer from the three-quarter point back. That's where the arm is just below, parallel to the shoulders. Notice how flat the left wrist is. Good flex in the knees. Both knees have stayed flexed. We could see a little bit more rotation of the club shaft, but even that looks pretty good. And what we're going to look for is we're going to draw a line here, back up to about here, and we're going to draw another line from his hip to his head. Now, let's watch what happens here. As he goes back, even a little bit from there, keeps those knees flexed really wonderfully. What he is doing, though, is sitting his butt down instead of out and up. His butt is a little too far behind him. And he's coming up. Notice how flat the lead hand is. Then he's going to dive down a little over the top. What we want to do at this point is reroute the club down that way a little bit. The club head has to fall behind us so we can throw it away from us. Now, notice that he's coming in pretty nicely there. Club head is wide open. Great rotation there. But because he was so far under the club, he again got it on the toe. What we see here is a lot of potential with a great golfer who's just now beginning to golf. Just a few minor changes, and he'll be hitting the ball a ton. Good job. We're going to look at this golfer from just before impact through to the finish, because what we're going to see here is a pretty good rotation. Let's move on in to the impact position. Honestly, I'm moving. See that? Now here's what we're seeing right here. Do that. I'm going to back up a little bit. We see the right hand is going to be well under the club. Notice at this position right here, if we look at the hands, the left hand is well above the right hand. The club is, instead of at an angle that looks kind of like this, it's an angle that looks like that. Okay? So we're going to move into the impact position. We're going to notice that the hand stays under the golf club. The golf club is pointing well out to the right, the face of the club, and the ball's going out to the right. Simple physics. But then she rotates through to a great finish. So what we need to work on with this golfer is getting the right hand coming over the top, passing the left hand outside and over the top.